Trump makes powerful move against the UN. During the 2016 presidential campaign, Donald Trump often voiced his criticism of NATO and the UN insofar as they drained America's coffers and harmed America's global interests. Now, as president, Mr. Trump has moved to strike back again at least one operational arm of the United Nations. This week it was announced that the Trump administration will be pulling the United States out of UNESCO due to anti-Israel bias. State Department spokesperson Heather Nauert reiterated that the U.S. is still interested in participating in UNESCO as a non-member observer, however. Nauert added that the Trump administration's decision to leave UNESCO was not an easy one. This decision was not taken lightly and reflects U.S. concerns with mounting arrears at UNESCO, the need for fundamental reform in the organization, and continuing anti-Israel bias at UNESCO. The official withdrawal will go into effect on December 31st, 2018. UNESCO may seem to outsiders like one of the more harmless organizations under the UN umbrella. After all, UNESCO works to preserve historic sites with its World Heritage Program. Plus, UNESCO is deeply involved in funding scientific research and childhood education throughout the developing world. However, despite UNESCO's role in promoting education about the Holocaust, many Americans, conservative groups, have long denounced UNESCO and the UN for supporting and sustaining an anti-Israel, pro-Palestine bias. Commentary writer Sohrab Ahmari characterized the UNESCO's culture of anti-Semitism by tweeting out a rundown of a planned minute of silence for Holocaust victims. The moment was hijacked by a Cuban diplomat who not only told the body that only the chair of UNESCO could call a minute of silence, but that his delegation and others were going to stand in silence for all the Palestinians who have died in the region. Sohrab Ahmari, how bad is the anti-Semitism at UNESCO? This is bad. President Trump, like fellow Republican presidents George W. Bush, George H.W. Bush, and Ronald Reagan, sees Israel as America's greatest ally in the Middle East. Therefore, the UN and UNESCO's culture of anti-Israel sentiment is seen as an attack on one of America's key international partnerships. While the announcement may have caught some in the media off guard, the U.S. stopped funding UNESCO back in 2011 after the body decided to include a Palestinian representative. Similarly, the United States pulled out of UNESCO in the 1980s due to financial mismanagement and a belief that UNESCO was being manipulated for political, specifically pro-communist, anti-West ends. I say dismantle it. America did not rejoin until 2003. Following the Trump administration's decision, Israel similarly decided to leave UNESCO. In a prepared statement, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu congratulated the Trump administration for its bravery. This is a brave and moral decision because UNESCO has become a theater of absurd. Instead of preserving history, it distorts it, Netanyahu said. So far, the United Nations has only tepidly complained that America and Israel have done damage to the international body's mission of promoting world peace. At the time when conflicts continue to tear apart societies across the world, it is deeply regrettable for the United States to withdraw from the United Nations agency promoting education for peace and protecting culture under attack, said UNESCO Director General Irina Bokova. This is a loss to the United Nations family. This is a loss for multiculturalism. President Trump's decision conveys the U.S.'s strong relations with Israel, standing in stark contrast with the lackluster efforts of the previous administration. I say do away with the UN altogether and stop funding them, because they word it and the words are different from what they represent. Actually, they don't represent anything good. When they say pro this and pro that, it's usually the opposite. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. And again, thank you so much for watching.